Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Overreaction Buffalo Sport, or I guess post-game show on the Overreaction Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, alongside my co-host, former Buffalo Bills offensive tackle for a very long time, John Fina. You can find him on Twitter at John Fina. We are excited that you guys are here with us. We're going to try to bring you the same energy to this post-game show for a preseason game that the Bills brought in their final preseason game. But please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this presentation on right now, whether it's live on YouTube. I think I've got it on X right now as well, or in post as a podcast. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, whatever button you got to hit, just hit all the buttons. Leave us a comment, chat with us, jump over to YouTube if you're live. It'd be great. Appreciate having all of you with us. But like I said, the Buffalo Bills finished the preseason, John Fina, with a spirited win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now have a one-way ticket to the season and home opener against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football in just 2 weeks. John, we made it. We're here.
We're here. And with this performance tonight, the energy, the excitement, the effort, I mean, we're back in Super Bowl conversation. Last week, we weren't even going to make the playoffs, Joe. I was like, I was going to sell my Bills t-shirt, all my gear, my helmets. I mean, I was done.
He was done, ladies and gentlemen.
They turned it around. Holy smokes.
Yeah, the season was on life support there for about 25 minutes, right? So last week. Now, a lot of good things coming out of this football game. Buffalo Bills have some decisions to make, some hard decisions, and I feel like generally speaking, when you were talking about this game and the preseason and the Bills, football teams in general, trying to get a last look at whatever players are kind of on that bubble, on that fringe, you kind of know. But I feel like there were some, I don't want to say haymakers thrown today, but I feel like there were some guys that were like, don't forget about me.
Don't you forget about me. Do it, Joe. Do it. You got the voice, baby.
I have sung that song before in front of a band on a stage. It has happened.
Yeah. No question about it. I think that, first of all, Shane Buechele.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make the practice squad or they don't protect him somehow, I think he looks better than Mike White looked last week. I mean, that's the get-go. He played the whole game. He played smart football. He delivered the ball. He scrambled when needed. I mean, he looked like he had just great command of the offense. Now, right, we don't want the Winter Soldier to go down ever, and I don't think Shane Buechele is the guy, but it's still a roster spot or a practice spot. We're going to displace somebody. So that was kind of fun to see, even though it's probably a position not of great consequence,
right,
to the Bills, but the inspired play was derived offensively at least from Shane Buechele. He did a terrific job. Beyond that,
well, can we put a bend in the page right there? I don't want to jump. I'd like to at least respond.
Yeah, go, man. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Shane,
I got so many names here, Joe. I just get so excited.
I do too. I have a bunch as well. Particularly on Shane Buechele, you talked about him looking better than Mike White, and he did look better than Mike White. I would venture to say he looked better in this game, preseason, second and third stringers, whatever you want to say. He looked better in this game, and I'm going to go somewhere with this, than we've seen Mitch look behind this, like in this offense as well. I would say most of the time, what struck me was his ability to not get rattled. Whether pressure coming from different places, he's spinning around in the pocket. He's seeing the guy that he wants to get the ball to. The ball's coming out quick. And a lot of times what we've seen from Mitch particularly is his ability to get a little bit like, ruh-roh, now what? Right? So, and whether it's he wants to run first or whether he just drops in the spot right there and kind of takes the sack. I was very impressed by Shane Buechele's just ability to navigate what was coming at him in a very heated fashion. Those guys on the Buccaneers defensive line and their linebacking core, they're trying to make that football team too, right? They're doing their best to make a name for themselves. And Shane, I can get into his numbers here in a second. I might as well just jump right over to him. When you look at his numbers in this football game, player stats, 25 of 30, John Fina, for 278 yards and a touchdown. I mean,
that's terrific.
That's
I mean,
terrific.
those are great numbers. And Joe, one of the things that you said, but you didn't quite say, is like it or not, there's somebody on the offense, there's somebody on the defense that people draw inspiration from.
Right, right.
Hope, this sort of a calm, right? When things are frazzled, and they're always frazzled on the O line, you're battling one-on-one all the time. But when you come back to the huddle and you got a guy back there with that, that big young smile on his face, and he sounds like he knows what he's doing, and he looks like he knows what he's doing, it really just breeds confidence.
Yeah.
So, and look, you want to root for a guy like Mitch. I never like to root for a guy who's an early draft pick and sort of fizzles out. I root for all players, I suppose.
Sure.
Become bad personalities, but there's also this duty to the team that coaches and general managers have to really assess what they have and make the right decisions. And Shane Buechele put them in kind of a difficult position right now.
Right.
And what you said, this is the last preseason game. So everybody on that Tampa field right now for the Bucs, they're fighting for a spot, just as the Buffalo Bills kids were fighting for spots. So it was an inspired performance, and he looked really smooth doing it. It was really.
I want to, with some caution, as much as we're talking about Shane Buechele, who got the entire game, and the reality is it's what we saw from him. But your former teammate Steve Tasker, yours and Jerry's former teammate Steve Tasker, said it on the broadcast. I don't know if you got the Bills broadcast, but he just made the comment, even with as well as Shane Buechele played, doesn't mean that he's going to get cut necessarily and not be on the practice squad. But Mitch kind of lines up and fits better with what they want to do with Josh Allen. So there's some similarity in their games. By no means are we saying that Shane Buechele just got himself the backup quarterback job, but he made it interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to comment on what Steve might have said about that, it certainly makes sense. But we've seen this offense evolve considerably since Joe Brady has taken over the reins. We've done significant things in the running game that looked nothing like we did 3 years ago. We're doing things in the passing game that weren't just kind of lather, rinse, repeat like we saw from Joe Brady's, previous OC. Mm-hmm. So to think that you can't evolve a little bit and fit the game to a quarterback, or maybe he elevates and plays a little bit more into the system that they're accustomed to. But I don't think it's as big a change as people want to believe.
Right. So other guys, as far as just other guys that caught your eye in this game. So who was the next one? I've got a list as well, but we're going to let you list out yours.
I mean, we got a nice list. I put some big circles on my notepad. I took 4 pages of notes. Another one that's
John is in regular season form if he's got 4 pages of notes.
Yeah, what are you going to do, right? I mean, they're paying me to do this, bro. I'm kidding. They're not paying me enough.
At all.
I just get to be friends with you. No, I want to go in kind of like least maybe importance, right? But yeah. I really thought that the focus on Frank Gore and this kid Young at the running back position, which we all know is a fight for 4th or 5th or practice squad, was very interesting down the line. And both of them battled extremely hard. And you look at them, not dissimilar type guys, but the skill set that they put out when they had the ball, they had a reasonable opportunity to make a move and gain yards, go forward, put their pads toward the end zone. I thought they were both really exciting to watch. Now, I don't know where this goes. And again, not a huge consequence. You got James Cook, you got Ty Johnson, you got Ray Davis, but it's fun to watch. That's why we watch the preseason, I think.
So, Frank, there's a list of guys that I have that I'm just not sure how you're going to keep them off of another NFL roster if you cut them. And Frank Gore seems like one of those guys, Frank Gore Jr. He's not big in stature. He obviously, is connected to the ground really well, and he uses his leverage well. He's not super fast. If he was fast, he'd be on an NFL 53-man roster. I just feel like he has shown more than enough. He has that. I don't know if you were familiar with Travis Henry. I think he was here after you had left and were kind of disconnected from the team, but Travis was a little bit bigger, but he was unstoppable. He was basically 5 yards in a cloud of dust every time he touched the football. Wasn't overly fast. Didn't have, I think, really any breakaway long like 70-yard touchdown runs in his career, but he had a high yards per carry average because he just went forward and he could find holes. He had good vision, good balance. And I just feel like he's not going to be a starter somewhere more than likely, but I don't think if the Bills cut him, if he's coming back to Buffalo.
Well, I think both of them, frankly.
Right.
Frank Gore looked great. I'll tell you this, though. I think, good for the coaching staff to give these guys a chance to, if they have to leave here, have a reasonable opportunity to get signed somewhere else. And the good news for the Bills, obviously, and no offense to the position, but finding a running back to be on your practice squad is not a tall task, right? There's guys on the street all over the place you can bring in. Tons of kids from college that, would just love the chance to make a practice roster and bring down that kind of money for sure.
Yeah. Another guy that I don't know how to keep him off this roster, Terrell Shavers. What more does a dude have to do? That one-handed grab, as soon as he caught it, or as soon as the play happened, I was like, that's a touchdown. And they were waving it off incomplete. And I'm like, that's a touchdown. And then literally then you heard them blow or I think you heard faintly in the background, the ref come on and say after instant replay or after whatever that dynamic replay is, it has been ruled a touchdown. That was just a tremendous effort, a tremendous play. He made plays on special teams. This guy, this is one where I feel confidently enough that we can say he made a spot for himself on this roster.
Oh, for sure. And, we had Wilkerson also played very well. Elijah Moore hasn't really flashed enough.
No,
I still like him. I like that size. It reminds me of Shakir, a guy like, that can really stop and change direction. That's really big in the slot position, but he hasn't done himself any favors.
Right.
The problem, Joe, and I don't think we'll ever keep 6, is because you have to balance what's happening in our secondary. So Shavers made a really, really strong impression. And on that catch in particular, I looked at Mimi and I said, well, I mean, even if that is not a touchdown, that's an impact play. That shows concentration, body control, focus. He's also a big body, which we haven't seen a ton of in Buffalo uniforms recently. And I think they like that trend. I think they like Shaver's size. So a little bit like Keon Coleman, a little taller, can go up and battle for that ball. Defensive backs are good in this league. You need somebody who can elevate, who can fight for it, make the play. It does put Elijah Moore and Wilkerson in a difficult situation. I don't know how it shakes down, but I think of the 3 right now, Shavers has a bit of a shaved edge, right? I mean, he's a little closer.
So you're looking at Khalil Shakir. Obviously, Keon Coleman makes this roster. Joshua Palmer did not play. You have to assume that he has made this roster. Curtis Samuel did not travel with the team. That's 4. So it's going to be Elijah Moore or Tyrell Shavers, right? And it's going to come down to who do they feel? I guess it could be both. Shavers does play. He's the only one of these guys that plays special teams
significantly.
Right. I mean, they could keep 6, right? If 5 seems like the number. You and I were chatting back and forth text wise. I mean, Elijah Moore's a little bit buried behind some other slot guys, and now Keon Coleman has stepped up during this preseason and played some slot effectively well, we're told. I haven't been at every preseason practice, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I was surprised at how long he's been in the league, like since 2017. He came out of Alabama. I was like, because I thought he was much. I'm like, oh, this dude's old. He's an old guy.
Well, and Joe, the one name we didn't bring up as far as what's the consequence of him being on or off this roster. You mentioned his name, but Curtis Samuel. Yeah. And one thing that Joe Miller likes to say often, and we knew as players, was, the best
ability
opportunity or the best ability is availability. And Curtis Samuel has not been there, but he's got a cap number that just doesn't feel good to let go. But, the argument is, I mean, we've let other guys go with big cap numbers and we've suffered. I think this is a much smaller cap hit. It's
a super weird snake bit situation. It
really is. I like Curtis Samuel.
If he's not limping around the field with turf toe or some lower body injury, all of a sudden he's sick. I mean, catch a break, bro. Like,
Right. But when he performs, it looks pretty damn good. So
yes,
you're like, I
yes,
mean, that's the true Vegas, give me 2 dice. I'm trying to avoid
yeah.
that 3-4 on the
He is
roll.
he is a weapon for sure, and he's got
Yeah.
speed. Curtis
Hmm.
Samuel has which we haven't seen a whole lot of as Bills fans, but when he was with Carolina, he's got quite a bit of speed, as well as with Washington. He's got quite a bit of speed as far as that goes. Another guy on this football team that I feel like has made a name for himself, and if you watch the Bills broadcast, his name came up a lot in the third and fourth quarter. Was Jimmy Charlo. He has football instincts and football. He has a nose for the football, and I just like what we. I feel like he made a case.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And having seen him at training camp, I mean, you look at his body type. I mean, this is the role for him. He is fast. I think he's physical enough for what the Bills ask linebackers to do. I think he's probably got a better nose for coverage than Andreessen, who I think also makes the team.
Mm-hmm.
I like the kid, and again, it's, you got to start looking at the number of guys and you got to get down to that number of 53. And I don't envy any of it. We've had, people, oh, the Bills haven't been to the Super Bowl. And I keep saying every year to people, it's who's healthiest, how you stay healthy from December 1st all the way through the playoffs. And aside from game plan and things of that nature, and the ball not being around and bouncing around the way we don't like it sometimes, injuries in our secondary and linebacker position have really been what hurt us.
Yeah.
Which is why you're going to have to keep 5 receivers and not 6, because
Right.
we're going to have to figure out a way with Trey White with some sort of mysterious indeterminate injury, Max Hairston, who's just definitely out of game shape right now. Who lines up at cornerback? So we need depth right away at cornerback. And that also will affect the linebacker room, right?
It's gonna be Dane Jackson. I mean, who else could it be?
It's got to be Dane, but who's the other one?
I guess the question is so they were talking about Trey, because Brandon Bean gave an update to Josh Reed, I believe from Channel 4, pre-game, and he kind of updated that it's a lower leg injury, but there was no real timelines or real information. There is news spinning around as far as rumors get out that it's obviously not season ending. He didn't travel with the team, so there's no real tell. He also talked about Max in that interview, that it looks like they're going to put him on 4-week IR, temporary IR, to start the season, which will help with obviously a roster spot. But even with that, the problem, as they talked on the broadcast, was, well, he'll be ready week 3. Well, ready to what? Ready to practice, ready to play. So it's going to be, I don't know who's Ingram. It's James Ingram and Dane Jackson. Those are the 2 names left, right? I mean, I can look at the depth chart again, but I mean, I don't know how many times I got to look at it until it feels like, nope, it's pretty much Ingram and Dane Jackson. Those are the 2 guys, right?
Right. And I think, at least if you want to take a little solace out of this game, Cole Bishop actually looked very aggressive. He looked, like he was doing the right things. Again, it was very limited, so they're very clearly, expecting him to be next to Taylor Rapp for the opener. But the problem is, we've talked about quite a bit about getting more pressure up front, and you don't want to abandon younger cornerbacks or less experienced, or not top 5, top 10 cornerbacks in the league, while you're bringing 6 people on a rush. So you got to talk about rotating secondary and bringing one of those guys off the edge and having the safeties compensate on that side of the field. And I hate to say it, I hate to start the season this way, but it's a little bit of survival mode. I mean, this really is going to bring out the very best of Bobby Babich. It's going to bring out the best in Joe Brady and Sean McDermott. I mean, they cannot have any gaffes in coaching or game planning. They just can't afford to.
Right. RJ Krasinski says, seems like it's going to be hard to keep Deion Walker off the team as well. Deion's making this football team.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I get it. Deion beat up on a second or third string guy from the Bucs who may or may not make their team or their practice roster. But what he did to a grown man on a number of occasions was significant. And we talked earlier, you opened the show with inspired play, Joe. You know what else? You know what inspires guys every now and again? A good deep ass chewing from the head coach. Right? Sometimes that'll be like, damn, we just got beat up, because whatever we heard in the media, whatever Sean said to us,
Right.
us lay people,
Right.
I guarantee you that locker room, that was elevated far beyond the sweetheart phrases that he used to address the public.
Yeah. So going into or coming out of last week, a couple things, or at least the last 2 weeks, how, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you prepare for preseason games? And he said somewhere between 0 and 1 was the first quote, right? Which was a great question to ask him. It has come out since then that the Bears did, in fact, game plan for that game against the Bills, which we all knew. It was obvious. They practiced against them, and then they put in some stuff to help them win, build some confidence. Everybody gets some buy-in and kind of what they're trying to accomplish. You and I talked about it last week. Coach comes out of that one and is like, we put guys on an island and we want to see effort. I didn't see effort. Tonight, he saw effort. He saw a lot of effort from this football team.
Yeah, we saw great effort. You didn't really see TJ Sanders look much better than Dwayne Carter, or vice versa. Those guys kind of disappeared by not having real flash plays. There were a couple of instances where our gap integrity on the run game, guys just weren't holding their area of the field as they should. They get washed down. There wasn't a lot of great disengagement from blocks and,
right.
Slowing running backs down, so linebackers have time to fill appropriately. But I don't think that's, again, as to what you said, there's no game planning for that. We're looking for straight effort. And I think we got it. Landon Jackson didn't flash. I saw him on a couple of pass rushes. He looked okay. Hoyt just continues to show that, he's not happy on the sideline for 5 weeks or 6 weeks. I mean, the guy is a dog, and he looks great every time he's on the field.
Yeah, and it was nice to see Joe Andreessen bounce back a little bit. Buffalo Joe, who was a guy that we're going to root for, much like when John Corder was on this football team as a linebacker, undersized, probably overlooked quite a bit, Hamburg kid, right? But makes the football team or makes the team and plays for a couple of years. We're going to root for Joe Andreessen as much as we possibly can. But when you look at the linebacker situation, Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, I'm surprised. I'm so surprised to see how much Dorian Williams is playing in these preseason games, but I guess they kind of have to. Who knows about Shaq Thompson, Keontae Jenkins? I don't know that I saw him in this football game.
Ulofoshio, I think we saw him in the fourth quarter.
I think he's gone.
Yep.
You got to wonder, where does Jimmy Charlo fit? Like, does he sneak in like where they want Shaq Thompson to? It's the Bills have some tough decisions. And how was it as a player? I mean, I guess you were probably in a different spot being a first round draft pick and then the franchise left tackle, but I'm sure that you had friends on the football team that are leaving this game, even with a win, put it all on the field. And what do you say to these players? John Fina, it's 1996, right? And young guy that's not a draft pick or is a late draft pick or came from, has been through a couple of teams, you're sitting next to him on the bus or on the plane. What are you saying to him?
There's two schools of thought on this, and I won't name the player, but we were in training camp probably halfway through either my rookie or second year. And I asked my teammate, we were watching film, and I said, I pointed at that guy. I'm like, what's the name of number such and such? And he looked at me and he's like, I don't know. And I don't care. When the team is set, I'll get to know everybody that's new. And I was like, damn, that's savage. I, however, was not one of those guys. There's guys, they're people, right? I mean, they're trying to get a job, just like an accountant tries to get a job, just like you're trying to get on the police force. You're busting your hump.
The difference is they're being told to do math while being tackled.
Yeah. You just a general amount of kindness, when you engage with a guy,
right?
And
right.
If they seem down, just say, hey man, you know what? You just get back up again. Whatever happens tomorrow, you did some great things out there.
Right.
And it's hard, you tend to fall in love with guys just like Bill's Mafia do, the camp darlings. Even as a player, you gravitate to personalities. I a little bit jealous of my teammate who was like, I don't know, I don't care. I was like, okay.
So getting back to it, what are you saying to younger player or player that's on the bubble, on the fringe?
Well, I just think the smart thing to say to them is say, look, your effort's been great. You've done everything they've asked. It'd be great if you made this team. I don't know that you will. You kind of especially for a guy, this is his first year, you're kind of giving him that understanding that this might happen. It's not my job to cut anybody. I never got that job. I wanted it, but I never got it. So you just be compassionate. And when a guy does something good, whether he's a free agent or late round draft choice or what have you, or he's not going to make this team, you just celebrate it, make them feel good about what they did. Because there were moments on the field tonight where guys did great stuff. Some of it we might not have seen,
right.
But if a guy like Alec Anderson or Deion Dawkins comes up to you at the end of the game, is like, dude, that was pretty sweet. Just why not? Why not just give that kindness?
Yeah, for sure. Getting into just kind of some of the stats, I already gave you Shane Buechele, 25 of 30 for 278 yards and 1 touchdown. Had a great football game. Elijah Young, 16 carries for 53 yards, averaged 3.3. Frank Gore Jr., 10 carries for 32 yards. It looked better than that, averaged 3.2 in the touchdown.
Agreed.
From a receiving standpoint, Wilkerson, 5 receptions, 46 yards. Elijah Young, 3 receptions, 40 yards. KJ Hamler, another guy that I think probably makes this practice squad. I'm not sure he makes the team, but he'll make the practice squad for sure. 3 for 33. Frank Gore Jr., 2 for 29. Tyrell Shavers, 2 for 24 and a touchdown. Overall stats, and again, you can stop me anytime you want if you want to say anything. Total yards for the Bills, 375 to the Buccaneers, 241. Passing yards, Bills, 270 to the Buccaneers, 196. They did not look sharp in this football game. There was one drive in the first half, one drive in the second half where they kind of put it together offensively. Outside of that, they didn't look, I wouldn't say necessarily great. Again, preseason doesn't overly matter. Rushing yards, Buffalo had 105. The Bucs had 45 yards per play, 6 to 4.4. First downs, 25 to 16. Yada, yada, yada. Just kind of stuff goes on from there. The Bills did have a turnover, which was great, right? First turnover we have seen this preseason, I think. Is it not?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So here's a couple of observations. Kickoff coverage. Oof. And I get it. When you have a 53-man roster suited up for a game, most of the guys you saw tonight aren't going to be covering kicks. But you put that kind of crap on film and you inspire other teams that, hey, we got a chance. We're going to press everything we can. We're going to come up with a good return plan. It was not pretty. One other thing I took away, this is the best tight end room that we've had ever.
I would say so. And one of them can kick the hell out of the football.
He kicked it a little too damn far, but that's what people, I was excited to see that. I was like, wow, that some bitch could kick, right?
Dude, the kick went in the air, and then the TV pans, and then the returner starts running backwards. And I looked at one of my friends was over for dinner, him and his wife, and I looked at my buddy, and I was like, "Is that ball going to come down?"
Well, and when you're a professional punter, Joe, you realize, right? They could probably kick it 60 or 70 yards.
He's not
but
a professional
you're
punter.
Gonna pay for it. You're gonna pay for it.
He's not a professional punter. He's a professional tight end.
No. But my point is this: people are like, "Hey, we don't need a punter. We got Zach Davidson."
Right.
There's a line between kicking it 60 yards and then kicking it high enough and far enough such that you get a lot of fair catches. But it was certainly fun to watch. I would have got a kick out of seeing Ray Davis just kind of run out there and kick an extra point. That would have been good.
But to your point, as far as the tight end room, I mean, even the new kid, the rookie, the Latu, right? Is that his name, or Latu? Latu. Like he had a big play. He looked good. I don't know where he fits, right? Because I mean, Dalton
hopefully, he's a practice squad guy, right? I think.
But where's the cut? So Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, right? And then they've got Hawes, Zach Davidson, and Latu. I mean.
Well, there have been times, if I'm not mistaken, that we've had 4 tight ends on this roster. And if you look at Alec Anderson coming off of that knee surgery, maybe not quite the guy you want to put out in that heavy package in the same role that Jackson Hawes can take over with respect to blocking. So it is hard to say. We've had injury problems with Dalton Kincaid. Dawson Knox has had injury problems. So you definitely want to try to keep Davidson and Latu. I don't think Latu is a guy that'll probably make the active roster. I don't know that. I think he clears waivers. I think he ends up on a practice squad. Again, and to be honest with you, I think that maybe wide receiver is the hardest position to pick on the offense, followed by tight end, but I think the rest of it is probably pretty damn simple. Sticking with the offense, Chase Lunt played the entire game at left tackle,
Right.
and he did okay. He struggled a little bit, and this is just, this happens coming from college to the pros. He took a lot of bull and power rush that he struggled with. He didn't give up a ton of pressure due to that, but he didn't look good handling it. And when you don't look good handling it, you just get more and more of it. But he's young. He's a young pup. He'll make this team. Garage struggled. He was probably not quite as good as Chase Lunt. And then the entire backup offensive line did leave me a little bit wanting, although Vandermark looks really good, and it kind of, his body type looks a lot better than it did last year, and some training that he's done. Obviously, Vandermark makes a team. Chase Lunt makes a team. Chase has played some guard, which is probably where he'll settle in.
Wait, obviously Chase Lunt makes this team? They're only going to keep 9 guys, John.
I think he makes it. I think
so let's count. So real Dion, David Edwards, Connor McGovern, Osiris Torrance, Spencer Brown. That's 5.
Mm-hmm.
That Alec Anderson's going to make it. That's 6.
Mm-hmm.
So who else did you have? Go ahead. Talon Grable.
Where was he tonight?
He's injured.
He's injured.
Yeah.
Well, he's they're
not going to cut him. So
Curtis Samuel's injured too. It's hard to say. I mean, I say he makes the team. I unfortunately have a tendency to conflate practice squad with making the team. Okay, but as far as interior guys, there aren't a lot of guys that have really impressed me between Feeney and Green, and Van Pran Granger is down right now. I mean, that leaves a spot in some way. So I think that is probably a 1 or 2 position decision. Chase Lunt, I think, is interesting because his ability to play guard.
Well, they have him listed as a left tackle, and that's on ESPN. I don't know what
That's true, but he played guard in the preseason game last week.
Correct. Yeah, and I think he played left tackle all night tonight. Did he not?
All night.
Yeah,
all night.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, all good stuff. What else before I get us out of here? At the risk of belaboring a preseason game, post game show. Anything else caught your fancy from this football game?
No, only that I generally try to stay pretty calm, and I've got a level of concern for the secondary, just as everybody else does. I try to resist, remain calm. I don't know what they do, Joe. I have deep concerns over the secondary.
What's weird to me is just the stuff that's on social media that like somehow Strong isn't going to make this roster. Like what has, not that Dorian Strong has like shown some like incredible amount of skill and like as a rookie and a late round pick rookie, but people are like, yeah, I don't think he makes the team. And it's like, this is probably his last football game. I think was one of the, or he was in with a list of players that like this is the last game on the Bills for these players. And I was like, I'm not, but they had Vandermark on there too. I'm not so sure. It's just, I don't know that the Dorian Strong has done enough negative to Brandon Codrington is not going to be a Buffalo Bill on Tuesday or at the end of Tuesday. But I think Dorian Strong makes this football team.
No, I think he does too. And
Daquan Hardy also gone. Daquan Hardy's not going to make this football team.
I agree with that. Codrington, I like that they've got him doing a lot of utility stuff in the event of injury, but I don't think it's enough.
I agree.
Dorian Strong, I think his ceiling is great. I think that's a guy that you want to figure out a way to keep on the practice squad, active roster, whatever you want to call it. That's a guy you want in the building. I think there's just too much to him that's as yet undiscovered.
Right.
So, yeah, and I don't know. I mean, we didn't even talk about, you mentioned Hamler, but we didn't talk about him a great deal. This is I guess insofar as the offensive side of the ball, these are fairly good problems to have, diametrically opposite of what's going on the defensive side of the ball, which are all the wrong problems to have. I'm sorry. You know what? I apologize. Christian Benford is obviously going to be CB1, right?
Yes.
In my whole panic, with Trey White and Max Hairston, okay, it's Dane Jackson. And you just hope that those guys are on the road to recovery and they come back. I think Dane will be serviceable. But shoot, man, you got to get Max Hairston back onto the field because he's got to get the uptake of reps at this level. And coming off of that type of injury, his game condition is just not there.
Right.
It can't be.
Right. It is concerning. You got to wonder if the Buffalo Bills will make a move this week, right? I mean, if Trey is an extended injury, meaning 4 weeks, right? So if Trey and Max both find themselves on short-term IR with the Buffalo Bills, do the Bills make a trade? Do the Bills pick up somebody that was effectively cut loose from another team? There's been rumors out. I don't remember who off the top of my head, but there's been rumors of some guys that were looking to be traded or cut by the end of this week by teams. So it's going to be Rasul Douglas is still out there. That seems like I know the money's big. Rasul wants a lot of money, but would Rasul rather sit on the couch or take league minimum at this point? Right.
I'll take the league minimum. I can only play extra points and field goals at this point. I think if they make a move like that, then you see a lot of guys, who are young, who have very low cap numbers, make the team to make room. Right. I mean, you end up letting a lot of wily veterans, or at least like very close to a starting caliber veterans go if you're going to go search for a cornerback off the street that
just say AJ Epinesa.
Say it. I was excited when we picked AJ, and it's just not what it just didn't come out the way I had hoped.
Touche. John, I'm going to get us out of here. You good with that?
No, I could talk all night, but at the risk of having everybody hang up on us, I really appreciate the conversation, Joe. It's fun. I'm excited for the regular season. It's this is what we want from the end of our Buffalo summer, right? Yeah. We want to just dig into the season, and it's going to be a blast.
Summer's about to end. We didn't wish our summer away. We just let the football season come to us graciously, right? We didn't wish for any hot days to go. That's not true. I wish for some hot days to go away. And now the cold days are coming, and I already missed the boat. The boat's still in the water, but yeah, it's like, oh, bummer, but here we are. So one of those things. Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for that little sidebar there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the Overreaction Buffalo post-game show on the Overreaction Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Appreciate every single one of you folks joining us. The Buffalo Bills, as we said, beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this football contest to finish the preseason 1-2. And are now on the road back to Buffalo to face the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football in just a couple of weeks. Lamar Jackson coming to town. Big game, John Fina. But for me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at Overreaction, Anthony Marino is now with us. So for all of us here at Overreaction, as we continue to grow, we appreciate you. We love you. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.